Hello everyone, welcome back. So this is our source, and we want to create the smoke sim now. And let's do it. Let's set the network. Let's call this out smoke. And let's dive inside here, create a smoke solver, and create a smoke object. And I'm gonna copy this. Let's dive inside and create a volume source. And we have to make sure to change this. Okay, you have to make a toggle back and forth to get this to set up properly. Now we don't have any temperature field. We have velocity and we have density. And I'm gonna connect that. This is my input. And let's increase the size of the domain. Let's hit play. That's very large. I'm trying to hit cancel. Come on. Okay, so let's figure out where the geometry is. So it starts at frame 6. We'll do frame 6. And I'm going to create a bound node. And let's scatter some points. And let's take a look at the bounds. And let's pin this. And the size is going to be, let's say 12, 4, and 10. And the center is going to be minus 57, 48, and minus 14. So this is where approximately that emitter is located at. And you can see now we're getting something. And to change, we need to dynamically change the bounding box. I'm going to use a gas resize fluid dynamics. I'm going to connect this to the second input. And that's it. We don't have to do anything. The only thing is under max, I'm going to turn this off so the boundaries expand as much as they have to. And I'm going to turn on delay frames so it delays the reaction by 2 frames to give it plenty of time for this to react. And that's our smoke getting emitted. Let's create a ground and let's merge this. And let's create a gravity node and hit play. And you can see it's working pretty well. Now you can see the clipping there. See, there is a clipping issue, especially here. And what I like to do is I like to provide a more accurate bounce. So this scatter is great. We'll set this to 100, and then this bound I'm gonna give it a bit more padding, 1.5 on each side, and let's call this out smoke bounds. I'm gonna copy this and dive inside, and under the bounds I'm gonna say tracking. I'm gonna go to the tracking object tab, sup, and provide that extra input. So this is going to give it an indication as to how much it needs to expand. This is going to be a great way to make sure that we have enough room and everything is being taken into consideration. Okay. Now what's the other thing that we have to do is to include the collision geometry, because right now everything is falling. Everything is falling through the geometry, and we need to provide an SDF of each of these clusters. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a VDB from Polygon for each of these clusters and then save them to disk. And let me import that. So VDB from polygons like we did with the static geometry, and then save each cluster to disk. And this is how they look like. Okay, so this is our cluster geometry, and you can see it's only the active parts. And I'm gonna create a null and call this out cluster SDF 0, 1, 2, and 3. And let's copy this, and remember we have a surface field. In this case I also added the velocity field, but we don't have to do that. So let's go to the DOP network and let's create a volume source and set this to collision. That's the type we need. I'm gonna turn off collision val because I don't need that in this example. And I'm going to paste the first input. I'm going to call this cluster call SDF 0. And the source volume is called surface. It's not called collision. And then I'm going to merge this. And let's do the same thing for all the other inputs. SDF1, SDF2, SDF3. And let's hit play. Now it's going to be slower because it has to read every frame a lot of data from disk, and that can be a bit slow depending on how big the cache is. But you can see now it's not intersecting with anything anymore. It's not falling down like it was before. I mean, it's falling down because of gravity, but it's colliding and everything with all the geometry that we have. Cool, so this is pretty much the main setup. In the next video we're going to continue tweaking. In this live example I'm not going to include Kong or the IREX. I'm just illustrating how it should work. We're going to do some tweaks and I will show you guys everything needed to get the realistic debris sim, and then hopefully you guys can finish this up and tweak it even further and include all the parts needed for this. Thank you guys for watching and see you in a bit.